Hello, hello.
Hello, we are live again. Hello.
Hello, it's Thursday. Back with me again.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Belinda. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. And you?
Good, thank you. It's sunny and hot here in Budapest. We have 30 degrees.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, so today it's really, really hot.
It's like summer all over again.
Yeah. Oh, hello. We have Sky Blue. Hi, Belinda and Lucrezia. Greetings from Jakarta.
Who did I see?
We have a special guest today here in Budapest.
I see you.
Oh, hello, hello.
Mwah, 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 mwah.
Hello,
Mwah.
hello. Finally we met for the first time after all these months. Hello, hello. Still now we have few people, but I'm so surprised to see Omar finally here with all of us.
Here live in Budapest.
Like a pop-up guest.
How are you, Belinda?
I'm awesome. Mwah, mwah. Missed you.
Me too. You're so beautiful, baby. Yeah?
Well done.
Oh, my lady vagabond. Okay, so I'm here, so I will disturb you more. So
You are ready.
Brilliant. We love it.
share this video. You can win a pizza box. Bye bye.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, as Omar said, don't forget to like and share this video if you want to win a fantastic pizza box on Monday. Hello, Christina. Hello, everyone who's joining us. Okay, we are warm up. We have warmed up. We can start. So, what are we going to do today? What are we going to learn today?
Okay, so those of you who watched last week might know that I've started to do a series of back to basics. Last week was aqua colors, and this week we are going to be doing the Allegro colors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm still going to run through the basics again because one can never have enough basics. It's like the foundations of building a building. One needs all that knowledge because the knowledge is power, and the more you understand the products that you use, the more you can push them and the more you can gain from what you have in your stash. So that is my mission behind this month and next month's Thursdays. There is a schedule that I have posted on my Instagram, on social media. Next week we will be doing paste techniques.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be all different pastes. But I thought I would start with the colors first because I know that there are a couple of people that really struggle with color. They struggle to
Okay.
understand it, struggle to get to kind of know how to make things work. So yeah, that's my mission today.
Perfect. Agnieszka, bro, this is the most important. Know how to use products. You're totally right. So we are off to a great start. I will put our intro and you can switch your camera, Belinda.
Awesome. See you just
Just
now.
let me find where is our. Okay, here. So you know what?
Hello.
And here we are. Oh, like a rainbow.
Yes, a very organized rainbow
Yeah,
into
perfect.
primary colors, secondary colors, and I've got two of the metallics. I don't own the silver, so there is a silver. And yes, so we're going to work with the basics today. It's back to basics on the color front. So let me just slide it up a little bit more so you can see better. And good morning, Catherine. And the Stamperia family, yes, you guys are awesome. We really, really appreciate all your support watching on Facebook and on YouTube. So
Yes.
it's awesome to see you. So Catherine's saying good morning. So I'm assuming she is somewhere in the USA or maybe Canada, that side of the world.
Our friends are all over the world, and please don't forget to share your projects, your creations on our Stampers Worldwide page on Facebook, so we can repost your project, also on Instagram, and we love to see what you are creating with our products.
Yes. It's always so inspiring to see what everybody creates, especially when you've had guests on Stamperia or one of the teachers on Stamperia doing a project, and then it inspires somebody else to make it and give it a go. It really is so heartwarming.
Yes,
So,
I totally agree.
last week we did the aqua colors, and I'm doing everything on a series of tags. And somewhere here I have my blue tag that I did, there we go, with my aqua color sample over the gesso, primer, heavy body paste, modeling paste, pasta sculptura, and texture sand paste. So I've got the same tag prepped here to test with the Allegro paints so that I can see what happens. And then what I've also prepped is, some of you will have seen that I do these swatch tags with all my different colors.
Oh, yes, this was the first live.
Yes, so it's something that I do quite a lot, and I thought I would show today how I actually go about doing that, because I have had a few questions about that. So I will just explain to everybody, this is what I use. You can use anything you like. This is relatively cheap. 300 GSM watercolor paper, but the 300 GSM is just really nice and thick and strong and durable for something that is going to be handled quite a lot. So this isn't the greatest quality paper, but it is perfect just for doing the test swatches. And then this brand does the black version as well. So it's also 300 GSM in black. So what I have done is I have cut my tags in white, and then I have also cut one in black. But all I do is I literally take a pair of scissors and chop it in half so that I can paint over half of it on the tag. And so what I'm going to do, and I've made notes there, so I'll have to just write over that. So I'm going to glue that one on there. I'm also going to be showing you the metallics. So we will just pop that one on there. And of course, I'm using my favorite Extra Forte glue. It's just magic stuff.
Cindy wrote, good morning, love color theory, such a help.
It really, really is. It's a basic tool. It's like I said last time, it's like the 1+1 of maths.
Oh, yes, totally.
There we go. So that one is ready.
Also, Catherine, who's saying, hello, Queen. Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello. It's so awesome to see you guys here. I've got a little bit of extra glue in there. It does dry clear. It's really not the end of the world if you do have a little bit there. But sometimes the glue, if it oozes out, depending on the product you're using, the glue will resist some of the products. I'm just going to pop those on one side. So I have my tags prepared. So I have my one for my I've written up my primary colors at the top, my secondary colors at the bottom, and these will be my metallics. And yes, color. I love mixed media. I love color swatching. You know, I often do it if I'm feeling like being creative, but not necessarily feeling creative. Does that make sense? You
Oh,
know, when you don't have the mojo. When your mojo goes walkabout, then I will sit and color swatch because it means I'm playing with my products, I'm experimenting, I'm learning, but I'm not necessarily trying to create a masterpiece. The other
okay.
tools I have here is just a roller, a spatula for something we're going to do just now when we mix these granelli d'Aluna into
Oh,
our paint, and a stencil brush. So those are the things we're going to need for later, but for now I need to find me and this lid. I have to remember always to put it on. Okay, so we're going to start with the basics. So last week I discussed the color wheel, and we have red, yellow, blue, I don't know why I always say it in that order, as our 3 primaries. And we drew it out as a triangle. So if we do a triangle, let's get the triangle on the screen. There we go. So we have our triangle there. If I mix my yellow and blue together, I will get green. If I mix my yellow and red together, I will get orange. In theory, if I mix my blue and red together, I will get purple. I say in theory because if you look at these 2 colors, they are both quite dark. You are not going to get a pretty light purple like that. So this is what I mean by people kind of get stuck. They choose their colors and they go, but you know, the color theory is that if you mix these 2, you will get purple, and I get mud. And that's because this has a very orangey base. And if you mix orange and blue, you will get brown. I prefer to talk about chocolate color rather than mud, but you know, it's a bit disturbing. Brown isn't always the easiest color to work with. I don't have in Allegro any of the pinks, the darker pinks. I have the light pink I discovered when I was prepping for today. So you really need a magenta to be able to mix purple together with a turquoise. So if you think of your printer, most of us have a color printer at home or have access to a color printer, maybe at work. And if you've ever had to refill the ink cartridges, you have cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. It's also known as CMYK, CMY key. Black is the key color. That is what like your newspapers are printed with, your magazines, those kind of things. So those are your standard printing colors. And with those 4 colors, you can make any color under the sun. So they don't have the red and blue. They have magenta and like a turquoise. So we will do a little bit of experimenting with that now, just to show you. So I'm going to take those out, pop those over there. I like to keep my colors on their side, or when they're starting to get empty, I stand them on their heads. It just means that you don't have to try and get the paint from the bottom to the top again. So let's get a palette out and a paintbrush, and we're just going to run through this before we color up that. Okay, so if I was to take a dot of red, pop it in there, a dot of blue, pop it in there. I'm going to do the magenta at the top. Whoops. And then I'm going to do the turquoise. And what I'm going to do is try and hold this up to the camera because I think you'll be able to see better. So if I take a little bit of this red and I mix it in that blue, and take a little bit more, you can see how brown that goes. It really isn't purple at all. It is pretty much brown. And this is why people get disappointed and they think, I can't do this. I can't, like, art is not for me. I'm following the theory, but look, it's not even a pretty brown. If I take a piece of scrap paper and I just work on here, that is not a pretty color in the way of purple. It's quite a good brown, but it's
Yeah,
not purple.
it's grayish, it's greenish.
Yes. And it's quite shocking sometimes for people when they come across this.
Uh-huh.
So I think that, a lot of people think I must have done something wrong. My art looks terrible because when I mix these colors, I'm getting this awful outcome. And, sort of, it's a bit like they think, okay, I've taken 1 + 1, but I haven't got 2. I have got like, I don't know, 6 or 7 or something. So by contrast, if you take a little bit of the magenta and mix it with the turquoise, take a little bit more, look how beautiful that is. You will get the most gorgeous, gorgeous purples. Obviously, the more red you add, the deeper purple it's going to go. So at this stage, I've got quite a nice light purple, and I'm going to pop it next to that. So it's still looking it's a bluey purple at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
I can then add a little bit more and make it more purple.
Oh.
So you can see the difference between these two, where I've actually got purple here, but the red and blue did not give me purple. So here we go. There we go. Now we've got purple.
Yes.
It makes such a difference knowing that. So often people say to me, Belinda, if I was to buy colors, what colors would you say I should get? And that's also a difficult one because, for example, I like to do steampunk work, and there's a lot of browns and rusty colors and so on in steampunk projects. So, of course, I've gone with the brick red, the earth brown, the orange. Those are my go-to colors. And so I usually say to people, okay, well then perhaps start with a basic set. So get your red, yellow, blue, get your orange, green, and purple, but always make sure that you have a magenta and a turquoise on hand, because we'll need these in order to be able to mix other colors. So this is what I would call a basic set of colors right there. So that little thing out the way, and this is like a party trick one, much like the blue and the red didn't really give you purple. A lot of people think that adding black to colors will make it darker, and for most of the colors this is true. I quite often will shade by adding what's called the opposite colors. So opposite to yellow falls purple, opposite to red falls green, and opposite to blue falls orange. So if I'm wanting to shade, I will add a smidgen, and when I say a smidgen, it's a couple of brush hairs of color to be able to make the other color darker. Because again, if you mix these colors, you will get brown, very similar to this. So a lot of people think, okay, if I want to make a color dark, I'm going to add black. And that's fine. As I say, most of the time it will work perfectly with all the other colors. But the only color that is going to behave slightly strangely is the yellow. If you add black to yellow, you will get olive green. It's like the party trick of the color spectrum. Let's bring this back and make sure I've washed my brush. Just try it quickly, make sure it's clean. And again, I'm going to try and mix. So I'm going to take a little bit of black, add it to the yellow. And I've probably taken too much black because these colors are very strong. I need a little bit more yellow in this, but you can see how green it's going. It's one of those crazy things. You don't get a darker yellow, you get green. Add a little bit more because that's the thing with these Allegro colors. They are incredibly, incredibly strong. So there we go. We get olive green if you mix yellow and black. Who knew? it's like one of those fun things.
Yeah, I didn't know actually. It's all new for me.
What did you study?
I've studied economics. So
Okay, so then all of this is new for you.
yeah, all this word.
I'm gonna just put a swatch on that side, and you can see what a gorgeous olive green you get. Look
Beautiful
who's sneaking
queen.
in there. Look who's sneaking in there.
I prefer my camera. Actually, look me better.
Okay.
I look ugly and old here. So, okay, hello Belinda. I don't have my filter. No makeup.
No makeup, no
No,
filter,
today no makeup. Sorry.
no special lighting.
Okay, let's go back to your funny tutorial.
Okay, so there we have some of the basics, and this will work with all colors. So every yellow and every black that I've ever done this party trick with will go olive green. So it's just, I call it the party trick of the colors. Right, so now we're going to go back to color swatching, and I'm going to start with this one over here, and I'm going to start with yellow because I like to work from light to dark. Two reasons. One, I'm going to be using the same brush, and if I start with the darker colors, it's very difficult to get your brush clean enough to be able to go into a lighter color. So it's always better to work with starting with your lightest color. And also it means that your water stays cleaner for a project like this. The third reason I usually say when working especially with transparent acrylics, now these are not transparent, these are opaque, so this rule does not apply for Allegros. I normally say it's very hard to cover a darker color with a lighter color, but I'm about to prove to you, because I'm about to put these colors on black, as you can see from my previous color swatching, how well the lighter colors show up on a darker color. So these colors have amazing pigment loading. They are beautifully opaque, and you can paint on top of just about anything. So for that reason, I'm going to start with the yellow. And so it's not in the order of which my little notepad is here. And I'm just going to go pretty much like so. I didn't load enough paint on my brush. There we go.
They have a lot of pigmentation in them.
It really has a lot of pigmentation. So you can see that the yellow covers the black. Now that I've done that, I'm going to go down to my orange. So I'm not sticking to my colors at this stage. I am working in what I call rainbow order, because it suits how I want to work with the paint. Just drying my brush. It also gives me a good idea that it's clean. I'm going to dip it in. And where's my orange? It's down at the bottom. So there we go.
This kind of orange is like my favorite color. I love orange.
It's not a very dark orange, but again, if you want to change the color, you can always add red. It is a particularly pretty orange.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Cindy, for that number. Okay, now I'm going to go to my red and work at the top. It's important to dry your brush in between each time to remove the moisture from your brush, because if you have too much water in your paint, it means you are diluting it, and therefore you will thin the color out. So you'll notice I'm giving it, having washed it, a good squeeze in between. Okay, now it really doesn't matter with the colors that are left. I think purple is probably my lightest at this stage. And yes, Gayleen, doing swatches is just the best. It really gives you, there's something on there, a good idea as to like what your colors are capable of.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are doing a project, whether it's on a mixed media piece, whether it is on a art journal, on a canvas, I actually quite like working with these paints as artist's acrylics because they blend beautifully together. The coverage is just amazing. So last one in the batch. Make sure my brush is clean. And so now I have my swatches done for my basic set. So this would be my primaries and secondaries swatch sheet. Okay, so I'm going to pop that on one side to dry. Now these dry matte, so where they are shiny, they are still wet, and where they are matte, they are dry. So with these, it's particularly easy to see if they are dry or not. And it doesn't really matter how thick you put these on, they will still dry matte. Because remember last week, when I was talking about the aqua colors, where they puddle and pool, they will dry quite shiny because the more you have on your project of the aqua color, the shinier it will be. So that's that. Popping those all on one side. I now, because I want to do a swatch sheet like this, I'm going to, so that I can compare later. Not that the colors are identical, it's just when I'm doing comparisons, I like to try and compare apples with apples. Obviously, this was aquacolor and this is going to be Allegro. So this was liquid and slightly shiny, and this is matte and opaque. But at least I want to see what the blue looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do the same thing on this side. Going to run what I'm going to call a neat when I say neat, I mean pure paint. So again, I'm just washing my brush, drying it, and I will need a new piece of roller towel. That piece is properly wet. So now I have a nice clean brush, and I'm going to grab quite a lot of paint there, and I'm going to swipe it down my tag. So at this stage you can see that the paint is running off my brush. I'm running out of paint. So you can, so here at the bottom where I've got the textures of the pasta sculptura and the texture sand paste, you can see how those are giving me a texture. And what I'm trying to do is just see what happens. I don't know if you can see how the heavy body paste is resisting that slightly, as well as the primer, but the gesso is grabbing onto it and the modeling paste is grabbing onto it, and these two, I have the textures. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this back and my now very muddy water, and I'm going to dilute it slightly. And I'm going to run it down this side and see what happens. Add a little bit more water. And then I'm going to pop that on one side to dry. So here you can see when I dilute it that I can see my gesso through, my primer through, my heavy body paste, my modeling paste. So I get to see what the difference is between if I was to try and cover it with a neat paint or if I diluted it. So diluting it is a bit like working with aqua colors.
Okay.
So
we have a question.
Yes.
by Dylan. He's asking, sorry if I missed it, but what is the difference between a Vivace and Allegro paints?
I
Okay,
know.
so Vivace is
I know the answer. I know
Omar
the
to the
answer.
rescue.
I know the answer. But it's better if you give the one. I just listen.
Cheat! No, come back. You said you would tell us. Cheat!
Okay.
You can tell it.
The difference is I don't know. No, I know. But I'm sure that you can explain better. I can explain in Spanish, but in English is better than you do.
Perfect.
Maybe you can correct me because I haven't spent that much time with these paints. They're gorgeous. These are more translucent and they dry shiny. So, okay, I wasn't. Oh, and I should have closed that. Hang on a second. Distracted by my favorite Omar. Let me pop this back.
You made her drop the color.
Oh my God, what happened?
You made me make a mess.
Oh my gosh.
It's all
I'm
your fault.
sorry,
It's lovely
baby.
to have
I'm
someone to
very
blame.
sorry, baby.
All your fault. Lovely to have someone to blame. Okay, let me pop this back on. Let me just grab my swatch sheet. So before I started doing tags, when I first joined Stamperia, I did swatch boards. I'm just going to grab my swatch boards and you'll be able to see the difference. If I can get across my studio without committing Harry because it's like an obstacle course right now.
No problem. In the meantime, I will remind our friends to like and share this live if you want. If you want to win a fantastic pizza box, don't forget on Monday we will have a new winner, and of course, share with us your projects on Stampers Worldwide on our Facebook group, and then we will repost the project also on our Stampers page on Instagram. And here we are.
Okay, so I'm just going to see. So when I first got them, I did these swatch boards. And I'm going to hold it like that. Let's see if I'm picking up my light. This swatch sheet over here is the Vivace, and this swatch sheet is the Allegro. So you can see the light catching the Vivace, and I did exactly the same swatch sheet on black. So you can see that the red and some of these colors in the Vivace are not as opaque. I mean, they still cover really well and they still show up on the black. I mean, this yellow is just absolutely gorgeous. But again, they dry shiny. There we go. You can see the shine perfectly on those,
Yep.
as opposed to the Allegro that's dry matte. So that is the difference. It depends on the finish that you're looking for, and what you are wanting to apply it on. So for me, it's personal preference. I prefer the matte finish. But if I'm doing a project where I want it to look like water and I want it to be shiny and I want it to have, without having to add like a varnish over the top. Also, the other thing is the Allegro, the Allegro dries flat and matte, whereas the Vivace has what's called a little bit of body. You can see the brush strokes. Can you see the ridges in the brush strokes as I move? And that is because the paint has what's called body. So when these swatches are dry, even though that is quite raised now, you can see where it's still shiny. Those will dry flat. So the best way I do it is it's a little bit of a rhyme. The Allegro will dry flat and matte, and the Vivace will dry raised and shiny. So that doesn't rhyme at all in English, but the flat and matte on the Allegro does. So yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much for this amazing explanation.
The thing is, as a fine artist, that kind of stuff is quite important. And also I have found when I'm working in my art journal that the Allegro because your journal is going to be closed ultimately, I find that the Allegro doesn't stick to itself, because I know a lot of artists use paint in their journals and things like that, and you will find that some of the paints will stick the page shut. And I find that Allegro doesn't do that. So I'm just going to hold this up. This is almost dry. So we have now a good comparison between our aquacolor and our Allegro.
Okay.
So I will add that to my swatch sheet and add that to my swatch sheet. Then the last thing we're going to swatch today is the metallics. And I need to dry my brush again. I should have had a spare thing of water. I don't like to have a lot of water on my brush, on my desk, because a little bit of water goes a long way if you knock it over. And I have done that. Okay, so I have got KAL 33, which is the bronze. Oh yay, Crafty, I am liked and shared. Awesome. Okay, so we will start on this side and go across. So that is my bronze. And then I'm going to do the gold as well. And this gold is really gorgeous. I often use these metallics to dry brush over the top of my mixed media projects instead of the waxes.
Yeah, they are really beautiful colors.
They have amazing, amazing metallic coverage. Quite a few metallic paints out there, when you paint over a dark surface like this, do not have this coverage. I mean, I'm not putting it on particularly thick, but you can see how awesome that coverage is. So there we have it. So that's the basics of Allegro. Now, how to use them. Pop these all out of harm's way, because otherwise I will get my arm in them and they will get messed up. Let's grab, okay, we're going to go with one of my favorite techniques, using stamps. People often don't think of paints with stamps, they think of inks with stamps. And I really like a slightly different look to things, and I like to use paint instead of ink to stamp on. And what I'm going to do is I use some old packaging. I've got some of my A3 rice paper packaging here, which is great to protect your desk. What you do have to do is just double check where the air holes are. For safety reasons, in case children get hold of them, packets have these little punched holes in them, and I made the mistake of not checking where that was the other day, and my desk underneath was covered in paint. So I'm just going to grab some of my sticky tape. Oh, I've popped a piece on top of a piece. You see, I don't want to waste any, so I'm recycling. So I'm just going to pop, there's 2 holes in this bag, pop that there.
Now, Gailina has another question. What happens if you mix Vivace and Allegro together?
You will get, well, it depends on the quantities. They will mix like normal paints will mix. I'm just checking to see if there's another hole. I don't see one. So they will mix like normal paints, but as I said, if you put more Allegro in, it will come out more matte. If you put more Vivace in, it will come out more shiny, and it will hold its body more, because you are now blending 2 different paints with 2 different properties. So really you are going to have to do some swatch sheets like this, but remember to put, if you do swatch sheets, remember to put your proportions. So my gran, when we were cooking together, she had this joke where if we were going to put I don't know, we would say making a cake, and she would say it's 50-50 flour to sugar. But then she would throw in the sentence 50-50 1 horse, 1 rabbit. So half a horse, half a rabbit. I was like, but a horse is huge and a rabbit is small. And that was her joke. So it depends on your proportions. You could use half a horse and half a rabbit, but that's not equal, if you know what I mean. So you would need to use 50-50 horse, in other words, half horse, of Allegro and Vivace to be able to see what you're going to get. So I would start with a little bit of Allegro and a lot of Vivace, then equal proportions, and then the opposite, and do 3 lines of swatches to be able to see what I'm going to get. So that's how I would roll if I was going to do that. But you did just see me mix the Allegro with this in order to do this swatch. But because I had far more Allegro than the Vivace, it is matte.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, so
Lots of tips today.
right, so we're going to do some stamping on a dark surface, and when I choose my stamps, if you look at my particular stamp set that I have here, the Lady Vagabond airship is quite full of detail and is going to fill up with paint. You need a stamp that is going to be more open, something like this, or I like doing it with the clock. It's just something that works better. And these stamps are sticky. If your stamps get unsticky, because I'm using mine a lot, I in fact had to do some what I call stamp maintenance this morning. I had to take them to the bathroom and give them a soapy bath and let them dry, and now they are beautifully sticky again because I'm always working with things like this powder on my desk. So slowly but surely, and your fingers and things, slowly but surely your stamps get unsticky. So you just have to wash them with water and maybe a little bit of kitchen soap or liquid soap, or not even soap. I didn't use soap today, but it makes a big difference to how your stamps cling to your acrylic blocks. So now that's what the roller is for. I'm going to take some turquoise. Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm glad you asked the question because so many of us are learning. I'm still learning. I've been teaching art for 20 years and I'm still learning. I'm still experimenting. I'm still trying new things. And what I'm doing is I'm basically creating for myself a little ink pad over here of even paint. And enough to take my stamp, tap my stamp into my ink, alias paint, check that I've got it everywhere. I've got slightly more on this side than that side, but it's not the end of the world. And now I'm going to stamp on there. And I'm just going to walk my finger around the stamp like so. And then I haven't left myself much space. But because of the paint, it's going to want to stick. In fact, I'm going to give it an extra pressure in the middle. And there we have a stamped image.
Oh, nice.
And where I said to you, I've got more paint on one side than the other, you can see the less paint is obviously better. There it's slightly filled in the detail, but it gives a completely different look. And you can continue to use the same stamp pad for a while. And in this case, I'm now going to go off the bottom, reuse what's here, do it. I'm going to overlap in the middle. And of course, you could do this with different colors. But I just wanted to show you how effective it is. And it doesn't have to be done on a black tag. You could be doing this on a white tag, or you could have done it on a pre-prepared background. So it's just a fun way to use your stamps, but you have to wash this immediately because the Allegro paints will dry permanent on any surface. So I'm just going to roll that back there because I don't want that to dry out. But I'm going to just take a bigger brush, some water, and what I like to do, you can have a little tray of water next to you and pop it in the tray, but what I like to do is just take a brush, get into all those little grooves and things, grab some roller towel,
Crafty I am wrote, I'll try with a brush for a ghost effect.
Yes,
That could be an idea. Thank you,
that's right.
Crafty.
Okay, so that is clean enough for me to be happy so that next time I won't lose any detail. I'm going to pop that on one side. While I've got this out, I'm going to grab another tag. And to make backgrounds, you can have a couple of colors. Now, remembering our color theory, we're going to stick to what I call one side of the color theory. So turquoise being a blue, I'm going to add a little bit of the purple. So this is a secondary color. I'm going to add a couple of dots of the blue. And whoops, that's quite a lot. I just want, there we go. And I'm going to roll it like that and just roll it up my tag. Am I on screen? No, I'm in the comment. Let me put it up there.
Oh, I will take down the comments so
No,
everyone
it's
can.
fine. It's fine. I'm trying to see where I can hold it. So I'm going to start off the tag and I'm going to roll up. And now I have got a beautiful blended background.
Oh, yes.
There we go.
Oh, that could be a beautiful sky during the sunset. Yeah.
Yes, it would be beautiful. So it's a lovely way to make backgrounds for cards, for tags, for art journal pages. And you could marble it a little bit more. Here the blue was particularly strong, but that's just how this particular tag turned out. So I'm running out of space here on my desk with all these samples. Okay, we'll pop it over there. Now with what's left on my desk, no, you see, that's exactly what I didn't want to happen. That's what I mean by running out of space. I now have a blue handled paintbrush, which is fine. It's a superb, yes. Splatter some white and it's perfect. Yes, we could have, Nunu is great on splatters. If you've ever watched any of Nunu's videos, she is so brilliant on splatters. Nunu, you also know that's a naughty comment because she knows that I hate doing splatters because if I do splatters, the whole desk is splattered. My camera is splattered. My computer is splattered. The ceiling is splattered. I'm not good with splatters. They look gorgeous, but I'm not good with them.
Silly Nuneka. She knew.
She knows. She knows. Okay, so what I've done here is I have spread out my paint and I'm just going to continue to see what I can resurrect over here. Right. So I don't like to waste anything. And so I've spread that out and I'm just going to give it a spritz with some water because of course acrylics are water-based. And this is how I got this background earlier in my art journal page. I used what was left and I always leave a page because I'll glue it together later. In fact, I'm going to leave a few pages. So because I don't need 2 pages so similar to each other. So that would be a gap and a page and a gap and a page. Okay, let's use this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, so that it doesn't get over all the other pages, I'm going to grab my book here and there. And this is where your librarian in your life would have a fit because I'm going to pop it down and I'm going to bend the spine of the book. Don't let your mothers know that you're doing this to books. And I'm going to just squish it like so. And I'm going to lift it up to see what I got. And that's looking pretty awesome, but I missed a few places. So I'm going to turn it around. And let's see, where do I need some more paint? I need some more paint over there.
But it's really a good effect.
And it means that you're not wasting anything. And you can continue to splat and pick up colors. And there we go. So now let me open this book up because now my paper's curling. It's all curling up on me. And this I'm going to pop. I've got a tray of water next to me. I'm just going to pop it in the water quickly. Because again, it will dry permanently. And then I'm just going to pop that on itself so that I don't mess on myself again. That's why I love to work. It's recycling the packaging. And I'm just going to give this a quick blow dry because then we're going to stencil on top of this.
Perfect. In the meantime, we have Gailing who's saying, love getting the most out of the paints. Yeah.
Yes.
It's all about to recycle and reusing things while we are doing these things, while we are creating.
Waste not, want not.
It's very important to reuse, to find new ideas, and to help the world stay strong.
Yes.
And then we have Captain saying, perfect technique to use with a gel plate and stamps.
Exactly. I thought that. I actually don't own a gel plate, funnily enough. I have borrowed one from friends before, but I'm not. It's not my thing, put it that way. I'm a bit of a control freak. Apart from these kind of splatter backgrounds, where it doesn't really matter because this will be the beginning of something. I'm too much of a control freak to use the gel plate. I think it goes with the splatters, to be honest. Right. So the next thing we are going to discuss is working with stencils. So you can stencil. This is already dry. You can stencil using the stencil brush through a stencil, and this is one of Christina Radovan's stencils. And I need a new palette. That one's full. Grab this one. It's not the cleanest, but it'll do. And when you are stenciling, you need the tiniest amount of paint on your brush. So I'm going to grab a little bit from there, take a whole lot of the excess off my brush. Then I'm going to take more off on a spare piece of cardboard. And then there's two ways you can stencil. You can tap. And that's why these brushes have got such big, what I call a footprint. So you've got a big round footprint so that you can tap. And if you're tapping, the chances of you messing are far less than if you either go in circles or if you go from side to side. Because what happens when you've got a lot of paint on your brush, especially when you've just loaded your brush, you will have too much paint on your brush. And when you go from side to side, which of course won't happen now because my brush is almost dry, there's almost nothing on it, the paint will leak underneath. So when I reload, I'm going to reload from that area there, take the excess off, tap, tap, tap. And as my brush gets drier, so I can start to do the wiggling motion. This is really just practice from years of doing stencil work. If your stencil work is going too quickly, it usually means you have too much paint and it will have blobbed underneath. So you can see how I've managed to graduate those by starting off at the beginning where I had just loaded my brush to fading it out to nothing. So that's another way that you can use it. And then using the Granelli, am I pronouncing that right? Di Luna?
Yes, Granelli di Luna.
Granelli di Luna. It sounds like a breakfast. Granelli. Like granola, I think.
About food during this live.
Always. It always comes back to food. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit more paint in there. And what this powder does, because it's really a powder, is you can make your own texture paste with whatever color. So you could do it with any of the colors that I have on my desk. It's just that I am using black for this particular project, so I will continue using black, and it's quite fine. And I'm going to mix it with the palette knife.
Catherine wrote, amazing class. Always, it's so important to know about the color theory and all the techniques. Thank you so much, Belinda.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I had such a wonderful response after last week's live. People were messaging me and saying how much they appreciated it, and all the comments in Stampers Worldwide where I posted all the samples, and I will do that again today. I will post all the samples with the colors that I've used and so on, and the products like this, for people to take notes, for people to be able to make their own color swatches.
Perfect.
So, right, I have almost got this a little bit too thick. Let's see how I'm doing. No, that's probably perfect. Well, again, you can mix as much powder in as you like. You need it to still be liquid enough to go through the stencil. But basically what I've done is it's almost like mixing cement. I don't know if you've done any house renovations or anything, but it's really, I mean, cement is a powder and you add water until you get a thick consistency. So it doesn't fall off. You can see there, it's got some serious body, and it doesn't fall off. And now I'm going to pop my stencil on this side. Let's go back into screen. There we go. Oh, thanks, Carla, for that sweet message. I'm going to scrape as much as I can out of here. And I've chosen this stencil today on purpose because it's got a lot of very fine details. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it a little bit further up, and I'm going to pop it through. So here it's like spreading peanut butter. Or we're back to the food. We're back to the food. Sorry if you're hungry.
No, don't worry.
So it's kind of the consistency of, I would say, peanut butter. You can hear the granules against the stencil, and I'm using the thickness of the stencil so that I'm going to try and see if I can get all of that out. Would have been better to mix it on a flat surface because then it would be easier to get out of my palette knife. And I'm going to go for these fine things down here and a little bit of the X. You don't always have to do your whole stencil. And I'm going to grab my brush and just fade it in a little bit here and there, fade it out, and over here. There we go, and lift it off. Perfect. Now that needs to go straight into a bowl of water, which I have ready for me.
Yeah, before the paint dries.
Yes, because it will dry very quickly. Because having added the paste to the paint, it absorbs a lot of the moisture, so that dries really, really quickly. So I want to show you, and let me, before I have an accident here, put the lid on. So let's see, can you see the dimension that I have achieved there with the paste? As opposed to the side, which is completely flat. So it just depends on the look you want to go for. Now I'm just going to grab one of my projects off the wall behind me, where I have used this paste through a stencil. So I had painted my background black. I then mixed exactly what I did now, the Granelli de Luna through with a black paint, and used it through the stencil. And then when it was dry, I dry brushed over the top to pick up all the detail.
Oh, it's really amazing. Really, a really beautiful project.
So you can see how amazing this stuff is. And basically it means you can take, well, I did it with black because it's the most, in my mind, it's like a party trick for me. You're adding a white substance to black, but it's not going gray. Because normally if I was to add any of the pastes which are thick and white to black, it would go gray. It will affect the color. Whereas this stuff does not affect the color. So I could have paste in blue, I could have paste in purple, I could have paste in yellow. It's entirely up to me. So I can take any one of these and turn it into a paste.
Wow.
So
okay.
I just love this stuff. It's just the most brilliant stuff in a bottle.
Oh, that's so great.
Okay, so that's pretty much today in a nutshell. So we have covered our primary colors, our secondary colors, our metallics, and of course there is a silver. I just don't own one for some reason. And we have done the Allegro over the gesso, the primer, the heavy body paste, modeling paste, pasta sculptura, and texture sand paste. So you can see the difference there. So those I will add to my swatch palettes. We have used it as a ink. And remember I said, of course, it doesn't have to be on a black surface. It can be on white, can be on anything. So in fact, this tag that I did earlier, you could print on this with any of the colors. So you could take the white Allegro, would work beautifully on top of this.
Okay. Do you have the code of the granelli?
It is K3D. Is that a B? Sorry, I'm getting to the age where I need glasses. Oh my word. Okay, just hang on a second because it is written so tiny. I have my magnifying glass. Just give me a second. Okay, so it is K3DB01S.
Okay, thank you.
So that is me done for today.
Okay, I think that I will put a short video and then you can join me with the front camera. What do you think?
Awesome. I will see you now.
Perfect.
Do you know our Facebook group Stampers Worldwide? The place where you can post your creations, ask for advices, and make new friends. And above all, an incredible source of inspiration. Subscribe now and join Stampers Worldwide group. It's for free. We're waiting for you.
And here for
We are
I was going to say that's your voice.
Yeah.
yeah. So which side? Hello.
Hello.
Omar with really long hair. Instant makeover.
Even more sexy. Okay.
Thank you so much, Belinda. Thank you, everyone in the comments. Don't forget to like and share. Tomorrow morning, we will have a live in Russian with Yulia Ost and Lena Burtseva.
Awesome.
I will direct because I speak Russian. So.
You're amazing.
We will try to translate everything also in English, but thank you again, Belinda. It was really interesting. I'm sure that everyone enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thanks to everyone who joined us. See you next week.
See you next week.